This is part 2 of the sweat labs. This one uses dialysis tubing. So what we have already set up here is a funnel, some salt, 3 cups labeled water, water, and salt water. We have a digital scale. We have 3 pieces of dialysis tubing, which we'll use. It's not really ready to go yet. We have some water and a chopstick to mix in the salt later. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to get this dialysis tubing to look like a tube. So if you can see right now, it just looks like a flat strip of plastic. But as soon as you get it wet, and I'll slide this over, it becomes a lot more flexible. So you don't hear it crinkling anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot in both ends. So once it's wet, I'm going to get the knot preferably as far toward the end as possible. So I'm going to slide that up, and one end has a knot in it now. But now the other end, once it's wet, you can kind of squish it together between your fingers, kind of like a garbage bag or a Ziploc bag, and it'll start to actually open. Ooh, there we go. Because it is a tube. Let's use that. So it is a tube. If you can see, it's open now. And so I'm going to put my funnel into this, and I'm going to be able to pour a liquid in. So 2 of the bags are going to be getting plain water, and 1 of them is going to get salt water. Because I only have plain water, I'm going to do those 2 first, and then we'll mix in the salt and do the last one. So this is a little tricky, but there we go. So there I have the dialysis tubing on the bottom of the funnel. And if I don't make too much of a mess, I should be able to just fill this with water. So I have it filled now with a little bit of water. I don't want to fill it all the way because I want room to be able to tie it off. So I'm going to take my funnel out, and it's just a baggie full of water. The beauty of dialysis tubing is that it is what's called a semi-permeable membrane. That means it has really, really fine holes in it that lets smaller particles pass through and larger particles cannot. It's used in a lot of just science demo labs to show how molecules move through the process of diffusion. If water is moving, it's the process of osmosis. But in the real world, it's used for dialysis. So if you've heard of dialysis tubing, this is the tubing they use in dialysis. When the blood passes through, some molecules can pass through and some cannot, and that is how the blood can be purified. I am struggling here. Hey, I got it. Okay. Whew, that's no small task. All right, so I am going to tie the knot here at this end. Whew, I did it. There's still a little bit of air in there. I didn't fill it all the way full because if water moves in, we want there to be space for it to go. All right, it is pretty well dried just by my manipulating it. So I'm gonna find the mass of it before I put it into the cup. All right, I'm gonna turn on my digital scale. Once it has zeroed out, I'm gonna place this carefully on the scale, and if you can read that, it says 10.33 grams. So then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in my cup labeled water. So I will be filling this with water, but more importantly, cell water. So this dialysis tubing represents a cell. And I'm going to do it again. Whew. Okay, so here is the next cell, and again it's empty. I am going to, hopefully that's better, fill it with a little bit of water. Oops, that's a little too much water. That one's a little full. I'm going to pour some of that back out and tie it off. was faster. So here we have cell number 2. Ideally I would use a paper towel, but it's pretty dry. So I'm going to again place that on the scale, which has now turned off. It's zeroed out. I'm going to place that on the scale. This one is 8.58 grams. Now you might think, well, it's not the same, shouldn't they start the same? But because we're going to be looking at a change, it won't really matter. You're going to have to do the subtraction later. So because this cell has water in it, I'm going to put it in this pink cup labeled salt water. So the other cup has water in the tubing and outside the tubing. But this one will have water inside the tubing with salt water outside the tubing. So it's a different scenario. I'm going to put that in that cup. And now I'm going to fill these 2 cups with water. So let's see if I can bring them closer. These 2 are going to have water in the cup. And because everything in here is just water, I'm going to fill these up. I'm going to fill them pretty full, that way the whole cell is covered. Let's try that. And then the only things left I have to do are put salt water in here and put salt water in this cell. So I'm going to refill this and then add a bunch of salt. All right, I filled this up with water and now we're going to make it salt water. So I'm going to set these back, make sure they're in there. And there's no real amount you need. In chemistry, obviously, you'd be precise. You wouldn't measure in a tool like this. But for now, I'm just giving it a good amount. And I'm going to stir that all up. As long as there is some salt in there, it will make it a different concentration than pure water. And then I'm going to do the same with my last cell full of salt water. There we go. So the funnel is on. I'm going to pour a little bit of salt water now in here. This was a bigger bag. No, it's okay. It's still about the same amount as before. Tie it off. All right, so there we have our 3rd dialysis tubing cell. It's dry on the outside, so again we're going to turn on our scale, wait for it to zero out, there it is, put the cell on. This one is 10.13 grams, so pretty similar to that first one. And if you see in this middle cup, this one, the cell has salt water in it. So I had poured water in the cup, but now I'm going to put the cell in. And so the cell has salt water inside and water on the outside. And that means the only thing left for us to do is fill up this cup with some salt water. So we had already put the cell inside. We just need to fill it up with the salt water and we will leave them overnight. So here you have your setup. Water in the cup, water in the cell. Water in the cup, salt water in the cell, and salt water in the cup, water in the cell. Check back tomorrow to see how they changed. Here we have the cells that have been soaking in their water overnight, and we're going to find the final mass. So here we have water on the outside, water on the inside. I'm just going to plot that off a little bit. Make sure this is tared or zeroed. And 10.48. Next up, water on the outside, salt water on the inside. So we're going to see if water went in or out of this cell. The mass here is 10.45. 10.45 grams. And last but not least, salt water on the outside and regular water on the inside. 8.48 grams. 8.48 grams. Thanks for watching.